Imagine this for a moment. The very person who seems the most distant, the one who keeps their walls so high that no ladder can reach the top, suddenly begins to bend those walls for you. The avoidant, the one you thought would never risk vulnerability, starts doing the very things they swore they'd never do. That's not just change, that's sacrifice. And sacrifice, my friend, is the loudest love language of all. You see, love isn't always about grand declarations or constant closeness. For avoidants, it's about the invisible shifts, the tiny choices that cost them safety, pride, and even comfort. When they make those sacrifices, it means you're not just someone in their life. You've become their anchor. And today, I'm going to show you the 7 powerful signs that reveal when an avoidant is no longer running from love but running toward you. Freedom. For most people, it's important. But for an avoidant, it's everything. It's not just a preference, it's survival. Their freedom is the shield that protects them from the sting of rejection, the cage that keeps them safe from the vulnerability of closeness. It's the wide, open space where they don't have to answer to anyone, where they don't feel exposed, where they believe they can't be hurt. That freedom is the oxygen they breathe, the lifeboat they cling to in the storm of intimacy. And yet, when love begins to move them, when you begin to matter in ways they cannot explain, that very freedom they once worshipped starts to shift. It doesn't happen all at once. Don't expect an avoidant to suddenly throw themselves into constant togetherness or endless availability. No, their sacrifice is more subtle, but far more powerful. You'll notice they begin to give you slices of their time, moments they would have once guarded fiercely. The evening they used to spend alone in silence, they choose to spend with you. The Saturday they would have kept for their solo hobbies, they offer up for a dinner, a walk, a shared memory. On the surface, it may seem small, but inside, it's a battle. It's a war against the part of themselves that screams, hold on to your independence or you'll lose yourself. And here's the truth. For an avoidant, freedom isn't just about enjoying life on their terms. It's about control. When they are free, they control the risk of pain. They control the chance of rejection. They control how much of themselves is exposed. By giving up some of that control to let you in, they are silently saying, I trust you more than I trust my fear. That sacrifice is not random, it's not convenient, it's deliberate. Think about it. When someone who thrives on distance chooses closeness instead, it means you've shifted their very definition of safety. You've become safe enough that they'd rather risk losing their freedom than risk losing you. That is no small thing. It's monumental. It's as if the bird who swore never to land builds a nest by your side, not because it's natural, not because it's easy, but because love has redefined what freedom even means. So when an avoidant begins trading freedom for time with you, don't underestimate it. See it for what it is, the beginning of sacrifice. A freedom lover choosing connection is like a wanderer choosing home. And in that choice, their love speaks louder than 1,000 words ever could. Privacy is sacred territory for an avoidant. Their world is built on boundaries, walls, and carefully guarded spaces where no one else is allowed in. To them, privacy isn't just about keeping secrets, it's about survival. It's the fortress they've constructed to make sure no one can wound them. No one can discover their vulnerabilities. No one can see behind the mask they've worked so hard to perfect. For years, maybe even decades, they've trained themselves to let people see only the surface while hiding the depth of what's really going on inside. And so, when they begin to let you into their private world, it is not casual, it is not coincidence, it is sacrifice. You might notice it first in the smallest details. The way they mention a childhood memory they've never spoken about before. The way they tell you how their day really went, not just the polished, surface-level version. They may allow you into their space, their home, their sacred routines that no one else has crossed. An avoidant's private world is like a locked diary, one that even they are hesitant to open. When they start turning the pages in front of you, what you are witnessing is nothing less than a powerful act of trust. Think about it. Most people share bits of their lives freely, but an avoidant measures every word. To reveal something personal, to expose their heart, even in the smallest way, is terrifying for them. It strips away the armor they've carried for so long. It risks judgment. It risks rejection. And rejection to them is not just painful. It feels like proof that their deepest fear is real, that closeness always leads to loss. By letting you in, by opening their world, they are taking a gamble that you will treat that access with care, that you won't use their openness as a weapon against them. That gamble is love in action. This sacrifice is not always loud. They may not declare, "I'm letting you in." It often looks ordinary from the outside, inviting you to meet their family, showing you a corner of their creative projects, letting you scroll through the playlist they listen to when they're hurting. But don't be fooled, these gestures are profound. Because for an avoidant, every unlocked door feels like stepping onto a battlefield without armor. If they're willing to do that with you, it's because they've decided you're worth the risk. When someone who has built their life on privacy starts to make room for you inside those walls, it is not convenience, it is not accident, it is devotion. It means you have touched a part of them that no one else has been allowed to see. And in that sacred space of access, you discover their deepest sacrifice, the gift of themselves, unguarded, unmasked, and real. Conflict is one of the greatest fears for an avoidant. It's not just an uncomfortable situation. It feels like a direct threat to their stability and peace of mind. To them, conflict means confrontation, exposure, and often the risk of rejection. It's the moment where emotions rise, voices shift, and the possibility of things falling apart feels too close for comfort. And so, for much of their lives, avoidants have perfected the art of escape. They walk away from arguments. They shut down when emotions run high. They retreat into silence or create distance, believing that avoidance will keep them safe. But when love enters the picture, something extraordinary begins to happen. Instead of running, they choose to stay. Instead of shutting down, they lean in. That shift is not small, it is a sacrifice of comfort. Imagine the internal battle this creates for them. Every instinct screams, protect yourself, disappear, don't engage. Yet, when you matter enough, they override those instincts. They willingly step into the fire of discomfort because the relationship is more valuable than their need to stay safe. That moment is not weakness, it's courage. It's the decision to risk being misunderstood, to risk emotional exposure, because losing connection with you feels far more painful than enduring the storm of conflict. You'll notice it in the way they begin to respond differently. Instead of leaving the room when a disagreement starts, they sit a little longer. Instead of cutting off communication for days, they come back quicker, even if awkwardly, because they don't want the silence to become distance. They may not argue perfectly, they may stumble through their words, they may look visibly uncomfortable, but they're present. And that presence is love translated into action. For someone who has always equated conflict with danger, choosing to engage is like walking barefoot over broken glass. Every step hurts, every moment feels unnatural. But what compels them forward is something stronger than fear, the desire to preserve the bond. In choosing to face conflict with you, they are saying, "You are worth fighting through my discomfort for." That is not just a relationship milestone. It is a declaration of love. Many people take this for granted. They see conflict resolution as normal, expected, part of being close. But with an avoidant, it is never normal. It is transformational. It is the quiet proof that they are evolving, that they are choosing connection over escape, growth over retreat. And when they do this for you, understand the magnitude of the gift. They are sacrificing the comfort of silence for the vulnerability of dialogue. They are giving up the illusion of safety for the reality of intimacy. That is love in its rawest and bravest form. For an avoidant, escape has always been the easiest option. The moment emotions rise, the moment closeness feels too heavy, their instinct is to retreat. They know how to disappear, how to create distance, how to numb themselves with distraction so they don't have to face the uncomfortable intensity of connection. It's not that they don't care, it's that caring too much feels unsafe. Running away becomes their shield, their comfort zone, their survival tactic. And for years, that pattern works for them. It keeps them from getting too close, from getting too vulnerable, from being hurt the way they fear they will be if they stay. But when they meet someone who begins to matter, when love pulls at their walls, something extraordinary takes place. Instead of running, they start choosing to remain. Instead of escaping, they begin to show up. That moment is not a habit, it's a sacrifice. You see, Staying present requires them to go against everything their nervous system screams. Their mind whispers, pull back, protect yourself, hide. But their heart insists, don't lose this. Don't let fear steal this connection. That internal tug of war is exhausting, but when they choose connection over escape, it is proof that you mean more to them than their patterns of safety. It's not easy for them to answer the phone instead of ignoring it. It's not natural for them to have a hard conversation instead of shutting down. It takes courage for them to stay in the room, to sit in silence if needed, to endure the discomfort of vulnerability. Every one of those choices is an act of love, and this choice doesn't just happen once. It's not a grand moment where everything changes forever. No, it happens in small, repeated decisions. Every time they resist the urge to run, every time they stop themselves from shutting down, every time they turn back toward you when they'd rather turn away, they are sacrificing the comfort of escape for the possibility of closeness. It may not look like much from the outside, but on the inside, it is monumental. The beauty of this sacrifice is that it signals growth. When an avoidant begins to consistently choose connection, it means they are slowly rewriting their story. They are beginning to believe that love is not automatically loss, that closeness doesn't always lead to pain, that safety can exist in intimacy, not just in solitude. And you, in that moment, are not just their partner, you are their safe place, the person worth breaking old cycles for, the reason they fight the urge to flee. So when they stay, when they choose presence over absence, remember what it costs them. For an avoidant, that sacrifice is everything. It's not about convenience, it's about courage, and it is one of the most powerful ways they ever say, without words, I love you. For an avoidant, expressing emotions openly feels like standing on a cliff with no safety net. Words like, I miss you, I need you, or even I love you, are not just sentences, they are risks, almost unbearable risks. To say them means opening the door to rejection. It means showing you a part of themselves they've worked so hard to keep hidden, a part that feels raw and exposed. Most of the time, they would rather stay silent, hoping you somehow read between the lines, hoping their actions are enough to speak what their lips cannot. But when love grows stronger than fear, when you matter more than their pride, they begin to risk rejection by expressing their feelings out loud. And that, for them, is one of the greatest sacrifices of all. This sacrifice isn't about romance in the way most people imagine it. For someone secure, saying, I miss you, might feel natural, even comforting. For an avoidant, those three words feel like surrender. It feels like admitting they can't stand completely on their own, and to them, dependence equals danger. They've been conditioned to believe that needing someone will only lead to pain, abandonment, or betrayal. So when they dare to verbalize affection, what they're really doing is stepping into the very space they fear most. They are stripping themselves of their armor and saying, here I am, unprotected. Please don't break me. You might notice the hesitation in their voice when they do it, the long pause before they say something vulnerable, the way their eyes dart away, as if speaking their truth is too intense to bear. They may even try to disguise their feelings in humor or say it quickly, almost as if they want to take it back before you notice. But make no mistake, those moments are not casual. They are monumental, because every word of vulnerability costs them comfort, pride, and the illusion of total independence. And here's the beauty of it: when they begin risking those words, it means you've created a level of trust deep enough for them to gamble their heart. It means you've become more important than their fear of rejection. They'd rather take the chance of you not reciprocating than live with the regret of leaving their feelings unspoken. That's not weakness, it's bravery at its highest level. So when an avoidant speaks love into the air, when they risk telling you what's in their heart instead of hiding it away, recognize it for what it truly is. It's not just a confession, it's a sacrifice of self-protection, a leap of faith that says, I'm willing to let you see me, even if it means you might not choose me back. And in that moment, you are witnessing the deepest proof of love they know how to give. Habits are more than routines for an avoidant. They are safe zones. Their evenings spent alone, their rigid schedules, their carefully controlled environments. These are not just preferences, they are coping mechanisms. Each habit gives them a sense of predictability in a world where closeness feels unpredictable and overwhelming. Their rituals are the walls they build to make sure no one gets too close. They watch the same shows, they bury themselves in work, they scroll endlessly, they retreat into hobbies that keep them occupied but distant. These habits serve one purpose: to keep intimacy at bay. And yet, when love begins to stir something deeper in them, they start doing the very thing they swore they would never do. They begin to change their habits. They start rewiring their routines. That shift is not just convenience, it's sacrifice. Picture this: the avoidant who always needed me time suddenly makes space for us time. The one who kept weekends sacred for solitude begins to invite you into those spaces. The person who used to cope with stress by withdrawing now chooses to talk, even if only for a few minutes. These changes may look small on the surface, but in reality, they are monumental. Because for an avoidant, changing a habit is not about breaking routine. It's about breaking protection. Each old pattern they give up represents a brick removed from the wall they've hidden behind. You may not realize how much it costs them to make these shifts. To you, it might look like them simply watching your favorite show instead of theirs, or choosing dinner with you over another night of isolation. But inside, it is an act of bravery. They are teaching themselves that closeness is not the enemy, that routine can bend without breaking, that love is not a disruption but an addition. And that kind of rewiring takes effort. It demands that they fight against deeply ingrained impulses that once felt like the only way to survive. What makes this sacrifice even more powerful is that it isn't just about changing external routines. It's about reshaping internal beliefs. When they choose to rework their habits for you, they are saying, "My old way of protecting myself doesn't matter as much as keeping this connection alive." They are prioritizing love over autopilot, intimacy over isolation, growth over fear. That decision might not be loud, but it is life-changing. So when an avoidant starts adjusting their world to make room for you, understand the weight of what's happening. They are not just making time, they are retraining their heart. They are showing you that you matter more than their comfort, more than their old patterns, more than the walls that once kept everyone else out. And in that sacrifice, their love speaks louder than words ever could. For an avoidant, self-protection is their greatest shield. They have spent years, sometimes their entire lives, building armor to keep the world from seeing their deepest emotions. Vulnerability to them is not a soft, beautiful thing. It feels dangerous, almost unbearable. If they let someone in too close, that person has the power to hurt them in ways they fear they would never recover from. So, they keep their guard high, their heart hidden, their fears tucked away in silence. It's not because they don't feel. On the contrary, they often feel deeply, but because showing those feelings feels like handing over the very weapons that could destroy them. And yet, when love takes root, something extraordinary begins to happen. They start lowering their shield. They begin to sacrifice self-protection in exchange for vulnerability. That is one of the clearest, most profound signs that they truly love you. This sacrifice shows up in quiet, subtle moments. The way they share a story from their past that carries pain. The way their voice cracks when they admit to insecurities they usually bury. The way they let you see their fears, their longings, their doubts. For most people, sharing feelings is normal. But for an avoidant, it's monumental. Each word of vulnerability feels like standing on a stage with no script, no defenses, no way to escape. It is raw, it is terrifying, and it is real. When they do this, it means they've decided you are someone safe. Someone who will not use their openness as ammunition. Someone who will not mock, dismiss, or abandon them for showing the very parts of themselves they've kept hidden. To them, vulnerability is not casual. It is a test of trust. And if they are willing to take that risk with you, it means you've earned a place in their heart that few, if any, have ever been allowed to reach. It's important to understand the weight of this sacrifice. For an avoidant, silence and distance have always been easier. To say nothing, to reveal nothing has always felt like the safest way to survive, but love pushes them to choose differently. Love whispers, stay, speak, reveal. And when they listen to that voice, when they choose connection over protection, they are offering you the most valuable thing they possess, their unguarded heart. So, when an avoidant opens up, when they shed even a sliver of their armor, don't overlook it. Don't mistake it as ordinary. See it for the miracle it is. Because in that moment, they are not just sharing words, They are sharing their soul. They are saying, without needing to explain, I trust you with the parts of me I've never trusted with anyone else. And that, more than anything, is love at its purest. Love is not measured by how easy it feels in the beginning. It's not measured by how often someone says the right words or makes the perfect gestures. Real love is measured by the sacrifices people are willing to make, the comfort they're willing to give up, and the walls they're willing to break down. And when it comes to avoidance, their sacrifices are not always obvious to the outside world. They don't show love the way movies tell us they should. But if you look closely, if you pay attention, their sacrifices reveal a love so deep, so raw, and so brave that it can't be denied. Every time an avoidant gives up a little of their freedom, every time they let you into their private world, every time they choose to face conflict instead of running, you are witnessing love in action. Every choice to stay present when escape feels easier, every word of vulnerability spoken when silence feels safer, every habit rewired in your honor, these are not accidents. These are deliberate acts of devotion. And the final sacrifice, lowering their armor to reveal their truest self, is the ultimate declaration of trust. Together, these choices paint a picture of love that is not loud or flashy, but profound and life-changing. Think about what it truly means. An avoidant who once believed closeness would break them is willing to risk everything they once ran from: conflict, exposure, rejection, change, all for the sake of holding on to you. That isn't weakness. That isn't fear. That is courage. That is proof that you are not just another chapter in their life. You are the turning point. Their sacrifices are their way of saying, I love you enough to fight my fears. I love you enough to step into the very spaces I've avoided all my life. I love you enough to choose you over my comfort. And maybe it doesn't look like the fairy tale you imagined. Maybe they don't shower you with words every day. Maybe they struggle with consistency. Maybe their love feels complicated. But underneath it all, their sacrifices carry a weight that is far greater than surface-level romance. They are not giving up freedom, comfort, or safety lightly. They are doing it because you matter so much that staying the same is no longer an option. You've become the reason they want to grow. You've become the reason they want to change. So, if you ever doubt an avoidance love, stop searching for the obvious signs and start recognizing the quiet ones. Look at the evenings they spend with you when solitude once ruled their world. Look at the arguments they lean into instead of walking away from. Look at the vulnerable truths they share, trembling but honest. Those are the love letters of an avoidant, written not in ink, but in sacrifice. And those sacrifices are louder than any words they could ever say. In the end, remember this: love is not always about comfort, it's about courage. And when an avoidant sacrifices the very things that once kept them safe, it means their heart has chosen you. They may not say it every day, they may not always know how to show it perfectly, but every sacrifice whispers the same truth: I love you, and I'm willing to give up the world I built to protect myself just to build a new one with you. That is the deepest, most powerful proof of love you will ever see. Thank you for watching this video. If today's message touched your heart, remember, it only takes one small shift in perspective to change your entire life. I truly appreciate you spending your time here with me. If you found value in this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the next powerful message. Together, we are building a space of growth, healing, and transformation. Until next time, take care of your heart, stay strong, and keep moving forward. This is your journey, and you are not alone. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.